Greetings, Orangeburg County School District educators. Hayward John here, Director of Student Services for our wonderful school district. And on behalf of our department, I want to take some time out to encourage you. As I look at this cell phone right here, this laptop right here, I think of one thing that they both have in common. Listen, as great as they are, they can do nothing for me if they're not charged. I mean, they can look the part. When you open it up, you can think that things are happening. I get on here and you can think that I'm making a call, but if it's not charged up, it can do nothing. If it's not charged up, it means nothing to me because it has no importance to me because I can't use it. Or if it has minimal charge. Let's say I've been using it for a long time. Let's say it's been working a long time. It's been overworking. It's been doing things that really is not necessarily meant to do. It's supposed to be for making calls, but now I'm doing reports on it. Maybe I'm creating research papers on it or whatever because it has the capability, but I'm overusing it. And because it's being used so much outside of its normal capabilities of taking a phone call, it's a smartphone. So I'm using everything it got. It's starting to lose some of its charge. And because it starts to lose some of its charge, it starts to give me minimal productivity. Some of you are already getting it. I believe you, as the facilitators of instruction, the motivators of your school, educators, what we do, we motivate and then we educate. I believe the work that we're doing, it can be so exhausting, especially in a pandemic, that it can cause us, watch this, to lose some of our charge. It's not that we're losing our charge because we don't care. Not at all. It's not that we're losing our charge because it's just we're apathetic about the work that we do. And it's because we're being utilized at amazing rates and we're producing at alarming rates. And because of that, like anything that is of great value that has to constantly be used to output or outpour, it's easy to get tired. It's easy to lose your charge. It doesn't mean we lose our why. It just means we need to be fueled up. We need to be recharged. Listen, the title of this session today is Recharge, Motivating the Motivators. Now, we are able and available to come into your school building, be it virtually or in person, again, depending on your comfort levels, to provide a session for you this way. But just in case you don't quite have the time to get a session scheduled, I hope that the time that we're going to spend right now will give you just a little bit to go on, just a little more of a recharge to continue what I know you believe you're called to do. Yeah, I said that. I said called to do. Again, but you can't make the call or even answer the call if you're not charged. And so I want to encourage you. I want to recharge you. So hopefully I have some things that will come out of what I'm going to deliver that will give you a charge, a recharge. As motivators, and I'm including myself in that, as motivators, we're so busy sometimes motivating that we rarely get motivated. Now let me say what I'm trying to say. I'm not saying we're not motivated. What I'm saying is we don't get motivated, meaning sometimes it's very hard for us to get people to give to us what we're giving to them. And it's not because people don't want to give it to us. Sometimes it's because it's difficult to receive it because we're constantly giving it. And it's hard to do both at the same time. We are, especially in this season, we've been pouring out so much that sometimes we almost feel guilty receiving something or somebody pouring into us. That's why I think it's so awesome that you're taking time out right now out of your schedule to be poured into. Whether you're driving in your car or whether you have a moment during your lesson, your planning period or whatever period you have to take a moment to pause for a moment and get something in you so you can give something to other people. I want to applaud you for taking a moment to get charged, to get recharged. Because I'm telling you now, you can't give what you don't have. And sometimes, again, for you, us motivators, it's very easy to keep going. And because we're expected to keep going, what do? Keep going. Because we're expected to not stop, what do? Not stop. And we even like to be praised for being unstoppable, when in actuality, we probably should have stopped a long time ago just to get refueled. Take your vehicle, for example. Even your vehicle, as long as it drives and many trips as it goes on, even your vehicle has to take a moment to get fueled up. Because if your vehicle keeps going non-stop, without a break, without the opportunity to get gassed up, it will stop, because you're not built to keep going and not stop. Your car is not built to keep going without stopping. It has to rest. And so I want to give you 4 tips that might help you along the way to stay charged. And really what I want to tell you is to keep getting fueled. Don't feel guilty about taking a moment to stop. Let me help you with something. Resting, pausing, taking breaks are just as important as the work itself. I'll say it one more time. Resting, taking breaks, stopping, pausing are just as important as the work you're doing. Meaning, without those pauses and breaks and rests, without those moments where you get a chance to stop, without that, the work that you're constantly doing will not reach its highest level of potency, will not reach the maximum level of productivity, because you're working at a rate where you had not had the opportunity to pause and possibly make adjustments, modifications. And it's really important to be able to reflect. And so without proper reflection, without proper adjustments, without proper modifications, you could possibly be working and not being as best productive as you want to be. Yeah, it's easy. It's easy to do that. And because we're constantly working, you will think you're being productive, and you're not being productive. Sometimes you're just busy because you hadn't had the opportunity to properly rest. And I don't want you to feel guilty about that, because that's going to add to your productivity. So rest. Again, these 4 tips I want to give you should be just a few things to help you along the way to stay reminded about the importance of being charged, of being refueled. The first one is fuel. Fuel. Again, I want to start off by saying fuel. 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 The F stands for faith. I think it is really important for you, while you are constantly being recharged, while I take this time to motivate the motivators, I want you to know that in this season especially, it is important to feed your faith. Again, the F stands for faith. Feed your faith. In a time like never before, when we're constantly being bombarded with thoughts that can make us fearful, with thoughts that can make us doubtful, simply put, thoughts that scare us, it's really easy to feed those thoughts and starve your faith. To feed those thoughts of instability or insecurity, or those thoughts of doubt, those thoughts of complaining, or those words or actions of complaining in your disposition. And again, because for many, you have excuses for that, because we're learning so much, sometimes at alarming rates, and we're constantly learning on the fly. And sometimes we have to make so many adjustments and changes. It's very easy to be negative, and it's very easy to feed the negativity. But I want you to flip that a little bit, and I want you to feed your faith. I want you to feed the thing inside of you that knows it's going to get better, because it is going to get better. What we're in right now is not going to be like this always. You will get better. We will get better. It's not going to stay this way. And because we know it's not going to stay this way, we know there's going to be a better ending to a very tough beginning. And we're in the middle of it right now. Since we know it's going to get better, why not feed the part of us that knows it's going to get better, that wants it to get better? How about that? That's called hope. We want it to get better. We don't want, right? We don't want it to stay this way. We want things to get better. We don't want this pandemic to remain this way. There's so many things that have happened to our children and with our children, their families, and our own families. We want it to get better. So feed that part of you. And what you're doing right now is feeding that faith. reading books that feed your faith, talking with people who are staying positive. You know, there's always at least one person, I believe there's more than that, on your campus, and you might be one of them. Matter of fact, I think I'm talking to you. I think you're the one that's the motivator of the campus. That's the happy one, or others around you that are happy, that are smiling. I want you to find yourself drawn to people that are speaking positively. And that doesn't mean your absence of reality. That just means that your response to reality is a positive perspective. I'll say it one more time. Feeding your faith doesn't mean that you are absent of reality. Doesn't mean you ignore reality. It just means you are aware of reality, but the way you respond to reality is with a positive perspective. Do not make people think, don't let people think that your positive perspective is weak, that your positive perspective is a sign of you being naive. Not at all. Your positive perspective is actually a power that is helping you make it to where you are right now. But I want you to stay encouraged by feeding your faith. And the U, this is a good one. The U is utilize your support. I'll say that again. The U in fuel is to utilize your support. Again, because you are called to be the motivator, because many of you are called to be the leader. Again, you're leading your class, you're leading people around you look up to you, whether you believe they do or not. Because sometimes we're in that place, it's very difficult for us. I'm like that too. It's very difficult for us to utilize the support that has been placed there for you to constantly be successful, to be the motivator. Every motivator needs a motivator. I'll say it again. Every motivator needs a motivator. Every person that's leading needs somebody that's leading them. All leaders need leaders. All motivators need motivators. All teachers need teachers. All preachers need preachers. I can keep going on. Everybody needs somebody that's pouring into them as they're pouring into others. And so I want you to utilize your support. Now, for me, I have mentors in my life. They're my supports. They're my go-tos. When I had made this transition from the principalship to the role that I'm in now, in the midst of a pandemic, I went to my go-tos. As a matter of fact, I went to people that helped me when I wanted to go from being single to being married, to being a married man without children, to being a father. I had to have people with me that I knew I could count on, my support system, to be able to call on to help me with my transition to something that I've never known before, or to help me in my transition, not just to my transition, but to help me in the middle of my transition to something I've never known before. There's usually always somebody that has gone where you're going, or that has been where you are. Others have been in the midst of pandemics or situations like pandemics before. This is not the first time that our country or our world has experienced something that is a travesty, or that is so traumatic and that has collectively impacted us all. We've been through through things like this before, or so many others have been through things like this before. Again, we may not have been through this situation or things like this, but there's so many others that have gone through things that they probably never thought they could come out of, but they believed they could. They hoped they could. They wanted to come out of it. Utilize supports like that. And it may not be that extreme. It could be a support around you who just has a little bit something that they're doing that you could improve on. And instead of looking at them as, I wish I could do that, ask them to help you do it. Listen, utilize the support. There's always somebody for you that is for you. Ooh, I'll say that again. There's always somebody for you that is for you. And the E in fuel is engage in self-care. This is probably my favorite. Again, as motivators, those who are doing the giving, those who are caring for other selves and not caring for ourselves, it's very easy to not engage in self-care. And I want to ask you to be intentional. If you can do this every week, I want to say every day, but I know sometimes you can work until it's time to eat and go to bed. But if you can make it a part of your schedule every week to engage in self-care. I heard someone say that the best health care is self-care. Yeah, I heard somebody say that because I believe, and I like that. I think that is great health care, is self-care, taking care of yourself, doing something you enjoy that doesn't, watch this, contradict your calling to be an educator. Something that doesn't go against you, what you do, which meaning it has to be something that still keeps you as a person of integrity. But engage in self-care, reading a book that you enjoy, taking a moment to just stop, pause, and do nothing but breathe, laugh, smile, talk to somebody about a game that you watched or you want to watch. Sit down and watch a game. Go out. One of my things I used to do, this is just me, especially when I was starting my principalship. Some of my friends know this. I used to go and get a milkshake. Now, again, I want you to do something that's healthy. But for me, I didn't do it regularly, but that was like my little vacation in a cup. I know it's kind of corny. I know. But for me, that was my self-care. That was my moment I need a milkshake. I need something that is going to like make me happy in that moment. And so I'm telling you, there's something you can do. I even encourage individuals that I used to work with that you could take a moment in the middle of your day during your planning period when you can take 2 minutes to stop and breathe. Focus on your breathing. Reflect. Just pause. Again, I want you to engage in self-care. Something that makes you happy. Something that has nothing to do with your career, but it has everything to do with the person. We're so busy sometimes taking care of the profession that we don't take care of the person. We're always doing the professional, but we don't take care of the personal. And your profession is person-centered. You. That's why we have human resources. The human part of you, the resource, which is the human, the one that helps our district go around, keeps it going around, is you. Don't you think you're important enough that you need to be taken care of? Don't wait for others to do it. I want you to do it. Again, the E, engage in self-care. And the L. The L, y'all, is something that I really want to make sure you get. The L is something I want to make sure that you embrace. The L is something that I want to make sure that you make a part of your recharging process. Ooh, do you think you know what it is? All right, I'm not going to hold you long. The L is simply to live. The L is to live. Man, people who know me outside of even education, which is still a part of my educational process, know that I'm all about speaking life. But I've lately been saying it's not just enough to speak life. You got to also live the life that you speak. It's good to feed your faith. It is good to make sure you utilize your support. It is good to engage in self-care. All those things lead up to doing this thing right here, and that's called to live. And I believe saying that now has much more power than it was 2 years ago, whenever we weren't dealing with so much around us that would challenge the thought of living. Because we're so busy now thinking of avoiding dying or surviving. But I want you to live, meaning I want you to embrace and enjoy the life that you have. Because again, if you're sitting down right now watching me, as I said earlier, you have overcome so much already. You have already been through so much already. And look where you are now. You have endured so much, meaning to me, you are designed to win. You're an overcomer. If nothing else, that's enough to live and celebrate the fact that you have come a long way. So a part of living is celebrating your small victories. I call them small. I say they might be small, but if you think about it, are they really small? Every victory is a big victory. Just because they might not be the victory that gets you a championship ring or a victory that might get somebody to come in and bust in your classroom and say, surprise, something like that. Nah, those victories that I'm talking about are those wins that you get that only you know about. I only say it's small because the only person who knows about them is you. But in actuality, those small victories are huge. They're huge because you made it. They're huge because you're making it. And I want you to take time out to be able to reflect, as I said earlier, and monitor your progress. Because what we're in right now, let's be real, the educational process is a never-ending process. I know we oftentimes will call it the game of life, but the game of life really isn't a game at all. It's a continual process. It's like something that never ends until we're no more. So while we are on this journey, while we are alive, live. Y'all, that's fuel. That is how you encourage yourself. That is how you take a moment to sit back and reflect on how great you are and realize that I'm doing some great things. That it's important that I'm motivated just as much as I'm motivating others, because I can't give what I don't have. I can't pour out and pour in to others if I'm not poured into myself. Refuel, recharge, motivating the motivators. I want you all to stay encouraged. Again, we're here as a department to stick with you, because we can't say we're student services if we're not taking care of those who are providing, you got it, the student services. So we're here for you. Contact us anytime if you need to engage any of our department members, and we're happy to walk with you, to stand with you, to support you as you support our students. Stay encouraged, motivators.